dropped 24%. And the country's currency died and took a rigor mortis shit. The best part, he told everyone on a Sunday, so no Wall Street bettors could capitalize on this discovery. The DD post was subsequently removed due to it becoming a proxy for a GoFundMe for his now starving family in Argentina. Hilarious. He posted his next play, which turned out to be a dead end. Onward. Went shopping. This fine, neurotypical specimen held a position for 3 years and had 1,000% return, arguably one of the best gains on Wall Street bets from shares alone. He played the long game and cashed out bigly. Now, while this gain is impressive, it challenges the decadent ethos of Wall Street bets by attributing safe and sound investing while imperviously holding your position when, listen, nobody wants to see tremendous gains in life-changing money. Next, please. This user unfortunately passed away. His son-in-law posted so. But users peeled through the post history to discover that his sister, Pliable Moose's sister, stole $250,000 from their grandmother, suffering from dementia, signing over her money and bought a house with the spoils. Mr. Moose filed a police report, but did not give an update. And yes, the son-in-law mentioned that an autopsy would be performed considering the circumstances. Yeah, he probably got murdered by his sister. Without evidence, we will never know. She made the ultimate margin call. Now, I was going to do a few more users, but I can't for the life of me find a particular one. I might do another video and cover more Wall Street bettors considering the developments of Mr. Joey RB with his $700 to $100,000 gain. I'm feeling lazy. Wall Street bettors put their money where their mouth is and show the end results. And not only is that ballsy, but it's admirable. Like 4chan found a Bloomberg terminal. Indeed. Why would you possibly drop 24K on Bloom term just to have access to a bunch of suited lockjaws pointing at technical graphs you will neither understand nor garner any useful information out of, when you can simply type in Reddit, navigate to this funny little guy, and scroll endlessly through until you feel the prick of a vaccine and an overwhelming urge to trade options at earning calls. I'm sure you're wondering a lot of things like, why would someone throw their financial futures away in a single trade? Or why would anyone trade so irresponsibly for internet points? The fact of the matter is, looking at the vernacular suggests rampant homoeroticism cloaked in playground insults and jockish bullying. Mods are big gay. Trump is daddy. Sometimes. If OP is risk averse and cashes out on a decent game, he's a pussy because he didn't bet at all. The vernacular is also witty and at the same time stupid. Due diligence, DD. Posts are mostly shit posts and copy pasta. Sometimes they're great though. OTM, ITM, out the money, yada yada. And then FDs, fixed deposits, are known as faggy delights. There is an air of camaraderie not found in other subreddits. And Wall Street Bets gets a lot of shit. Called out for being toxic or juvenile or schadenfreude. I don't know how to pronounce that shit. Wet dream. That's probably all true, but I think people miss the point. It's possible through the irony and recklessness. This community is a look into the future of trading and investment strategies of the next generation of traders and money men. And it's also a reflection or a parallel of the financial sector's imprudent habits and lack of oversight in the big leagues on literal Wall Street. But not so, because actual investment theses are published frequently. Some heavily and sensibly researched, and others just rampant diarrhea posts that earn laughs. That's it for the video. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe.
YOLO Tesla 420 calls expiry fucking right now.
Dear viewer, do you money? You don't? Why not? You don't like money? You do? Then why don't you have piles of it? Like this guy, or this person. That's because your brain sucks, and you need to retrain your brain. You need to be educated smartly, fastly, excelsiorly. Well, today I'm going to teach you how to look at your dollars, or lack thereof, like your servants and force Benjamin and George to copulate and procreate like some disgusting breeding pen you hold dominion over. Tax-free, debt-free, free-free. Look at all this. This is wealth. Don't you want it? It's yours for the taking. You may be asking, how does one ascend to wealth? How do I get rich? You clicked on this video, so you've confirmed the algorithm's suspicions. You desire to be rich. First, acquire capital. Make the capital acquire capital. Simple. How does one get capital? Easy. Degree in finance, tie and suit, weasel your way into capital management. That should do the trick. Spend other people's money, not yours. Rinse, repeat, you fucking sheep. But most don't share that predilection. So what's the average Joe to do? Start a business? Nah, don't do that. You'll fail, apparently. I've scoured the internet for the leading top, highest premium answers and spoke to notable billionaires like Tai Lopez, the Sultan of Brunei, and Jeff. And I've compiled these answers into easily digestible factoids that you can write on post-it notes and place them on your monitor at work next to all those other motivational quotes. And I'm giving it to you for free. Because I'm generous and wealthy, and I want nothing more than to lift people out of first world pseudo-poverty. If you want to start from nothing and become a trillionaire, it comes down to two principles: income and passive income. Income. Pick up a second job. Use that extra paycheck to sign up for Tony Robbins courses. Drive for Uber. Side businesses. Affiliate and multi-level marketing, of course. Those vagina rocks aren't going to sell themselves. Sell a few organs. Rent out your genitals. Donate plasma daily until you've been rendered a penny-hungry zombie. Auction your kids. Sell crack cocaine. Or ask daddy. That's it. Those are the only options ever.
Passive income.
Dividends. Affiliate marketing. Buy stock in a company you find delicious. Withdraw your patriarchy dollars from the privilege ATM. Listen to wealth affirmations on repeat. Blow your paycheck on risky option trades that make no sense, cause math be hard, G. Sleep 4 hours a day. Use the leftover hours to watch motivational videos. And wait. Let's be real here for a second. Unless you happen to be a blessed genius with well-endowed acumen, equipped with the business idea of the century and all the right connections to guide you along the pitiful path of startups, your net worth will struggle to pass the 7-figure mark. The odds are staggeringly low that you, the viewer of this lowly video, will become a part of the super rich. Yet plenty of influencers sell you the opposite idea, that all it takes is hard work and perseverance. Too many charlatans have profited off of selling accessible information to the average go-getter, dressing it up in Vuitton and Gabbana, though it's merely thrift store moccasins, and charging their audience a premium to pretend that they're providing useful methodologies to accrue financial freedom. Reality suggests you will not become rich by watching self-help videos on YouTube, nor following in the moccasins of others, be they market gurus or blue-chip CEOs. So stop scratching that lottery ticket and look at these graphs. Here are your chances of becoming a millionaire by demographic. Now, while the odds may not be on your side, they're not the worst odds. At least there's still a chance of becoming rich. Oh, wait, no, this is... Here are your chances of becoming a millionaire by demographic.
Damn. Pretty high.
Now, while the odds may not be on your side, they're not the worst odds. At least there's still a chance of becoming rich. Oh, wait, no, this is over time, and purchasing power is stagnating and projected to decrease, so what's $1 million? How about the stock market? I hear that's another way to make it. The majority of trades are conducted by HFT programs, algorithms that trade millions of times a day from large cash pools. 97% of day traders lose money. A lot of it is against these algorithms. Less than 1/2% of the traders earn more than $54 a day. Starting a business? Across all industries, 90% of startups fail. 10% fail in the first year. While entrepreneurs raise more money today, the most popular finance method was that of personal funds, and depending on the industry, startups can take anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000 just to get started. Startup creation has hit a 40-year low. Here are your chances of winning the lottery. Visualized. The lottery is obviously a fool's tax, but considering half of Americans play the lottery, it should be noted that quite a few believe the jackpot is their ticket to wealth. And then there's this. What you just saw is the amount of wealth in the US compared to the rest of the world. And of that wealth, this is the distribution between generations. Baby boomers are often blamed by the younger generations for the economic turbulence of today, citing the ostensible easygoing lifestyles they had in their day. With the post-war boom shading them with the umbrella of a roaring economy, and advantageous circumstances were in plenty. In the prime of their lives, boomers set the example of what middle class is. Their dollar went further than today's. Payout of their investments and endeavors is boldened by their dollar. If you're a boomer and you want to be rich, just buy a life insurance policy on your spouse and wait a year, because the odds are you're already rich by today's standards. Generation X are easily forgotten, often confused as boomers. Their part to play is notable and shouldn't be misapprehended. Xers make up a third of total US income and have founded half of today's startup companies. Though this generation faced the brunt of the housing market collapse and the recession, they've managed to be the only generation that has recovered from the wealth lost, and the generation that outspends all of the others. If you're an Xer and you want to be rich, convert the expenditures of your impending midlife crisis from those extravagant purchases and legal costs of upcoming divorce and turn them into investments, promising startups, high-risk real estate flips, and sell all of your assets and dump the liquidity on your freshman broker. Millennials have been dubbed the student debt generation and are characterized by faux bloggers as financially inept and economically distraught, and are killing industry with their deleterious entitlement to a fair wage and economic comfortability. How dare they? Most millennials will likely expend their capital on paying back their debt burdens, rather than shifting their potential into assets that will net them cash to play with. The treadmill extends longer for this generation, and the hurdles have been doubled, but it's their own fault, according to these studies I didn't read. Millennials are the least skilled generation, make the most financial mistakes, and have racked up $1 trillion in debt. If you're a millennial and you want to be rich, you just have to claw your way to the top by putting in 279 hours a week into your new startup that is hemorrhaging money by the millisecond. Generation Z. Well, there's not a lot of data on Zoomers. Time will tell. If you are a Zoomer and you want to be rich, the opportunities are endless, and the likelihood of your success is undetermined. The world is your oyster. You depressed, socially isolated, internet-addicted, unskilled, reactionary, and generally insufferable young person. And if you fuck it all up, you can simply wait for the great wealth transfer and hope Nana left everything to you when she croaks. Regardless of what your generation's letter is, you can be rich in your lifetime. Don't let these intimidating graphs and statistics scare you out of the arduous journey to wealth. The reality of wealth creation in your economic futures rests entirely on your willpower and choices, the timing and accuracy of your actions meeting market demands, and the millions of matters beyond your control that will stifle and blockade you from becoming wealthy no matter what you do or how hard you try. But that's no reason to stop the pursuit. The pursuit of money is the utmost importance, isn't it? Need a purpose? Make a purchase. Don't have the cash? No worries. Get a loan, swipe your card. Don't worry. Get rich to buy more shit. Get rich by buying more shit. Buy more to save more. No, wait, save money. Save it so you can have a safety net. Ooh, that cushiony safety net. The idea of an emergency fund reminds me of the womb. Save your money and invest it. Invest your money so you can have 5 figures in 5 years, 6 figures in your 40s and 50s, $1 million when you retire. Retirement, baby. Now you can finally start enjoying your life to the fullest. It was all worth it. U.S. consumer debt has surpassed $13 trillion. Credit card debt alone is nearing the $1 trillion mark. The lifestyles of Americans are tendered with varying degrees of splurges, night outs, vacations, etc., and are tendered on credit. Massive debt accrual is now commonplace in America. The overwhelming desire to purchase and possess and to spend encompasses consumers like a trance. And what better way to feed the addiction than to increase the catalyst by earning more money and spending, and earning more money and spending, and getting rich and spending more. If the present goal is to be a consumer, then to be rich is to be the best at consuming. Ask yourself, what do all the millionaires and billionaires have in common? What I'm about to say will upset you, but it will answer all your questions with elegance and illumination. The answer to that question will perfectly describe, in the plainest of language, what separates you from the rich, and exactly what you're missing that they have. What do millionaires and billionaires have in common? They have more money than you. Forgive the inconsequential and pedestrian conclusion, but it's important to note that the only real difference between the rich and those who want to be them is cash and assets. And with those, what would you do? Would you enjoy your life? Would you finally be happy? If the difference is the abundance of disposable income, then what do you enjoy doing right now that you wouldn't enjoy doing if you happened to be rich? If you filled your mansion with a plethora of objects, would you feel whole? Sure, there is power in riches, but what are you, Machiavelli? Are you planning on changing the world with your abundance of ideas and problem-solving skills? Will you hold office or better others by philanthropy? How effective would you be? How meaningful would your actions be? What could you really stand to achieve that is impossible without this power? Would you fall prey to the instances of greed that led you to the power in the first place? If being rich doesn't satisfy completely, then is the pursuit of wealth worth it? Those who desire extreme wealth will likely fail to achieve it. That's not for lack of trying. The affluent have made it so, as the cycle of capital generation mostly rests in their toolkits, and sharing is not caring. Disparity between the rich and the average lies simply in the amounts of money they're readily capable of earning and the effect on their lives and financial futures subsequent to their earning potential and the end result of their decisions with said potential. As Jay-Z said, what's 50 grand to a motherfucker like me? As Louis B said, man, if I can get that promotion and break my back to better my employer, then I can get a $3 raise. Then I'll finally be able to pay down my debts and take that vacation I've always wanted. What if I told you that neither Jay-Z or Louis B are rich? If one is to put money atop their altar and believe that it will solve their problems, fix their worries, and make them happy, they will be sorely disappointed either way. Whether or not they have an abundance of cash, a healthy amount of income, or a measly dime in the pocket, money will never satiate. The hedonic treadmill is a psychological description of our happiness, its baseline, and the tendency to return to baseline happiness. Regardless of fortune, bad or good, the feelings of happiness increase or decrease initially, then gradually return to normal levels. So long as your basic needs are met, rarely will your circumstance affect this stabilization. When a person makes more money, the lifestyle creep takes hold and whispers sweet nothings in their ears. Desires and expectations increase, though their rise of income nets no permanent positive change in happiness. Lottery winners, real estate moguls, professional athletes, and inheritance recipients are generally as happy as car crash victims, minimum wage workers, unemployed college graduates, and single mothers, given adequate time to adapt to their environment and circumstances. And yet, the culture fetishizes the uber rich. We're inundated with media about the one percenters, the celebrities, CEOs, tycoons, if view counts are any criterion. Apparently, these people are novel, important, and worthy of our attention. Just look at them. And what they do, and what they have, and compare that to yourself. We're told how the wealthiest few enjoy their spoils, how their lifestyles are better and less attainable than ours, than the rest. Yet they tend toward misery and turmoil as often, if not more, than the average worker making minimum wage. Such is life. There is no way out of suffering. The end is the same anyways, and the rich and poor alike will be forgotten. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. People often conflate a rich, luxurious lifestyle with the good life. Ostentation and lavishness are not what the Greeks had in mind at all. We can all live the good life, but one has to infer what that means first. Progression toward the good life is a series of deletion, figuring out what not to do. You've spent your whole life up to this point gathering bad habits and withdrawing mistakes from your account of poor decisions. You've expended hours acquiring, earning, working, slaving, purchasing, consuming, and you're still here, wanting to add more and more until you can't anymore. Instead of prioritizing addition in your life, try deletion first. Begin with the do nots. Do not despair. Do not acquire debt, or at least avoid it. Don't heed advice that doesn't fit your starting point. Don't be gullible. Do not squander your time. If you don't have time between your duties and your leisure, then find what makes you whole and repeat it in the hours you do have. Do not let routine guide you. Start again, anew, every day. Do not fall prey to the cheapening of existence. Do not fall prey to advertisers, to banks, to government, to big tech, to societal constriction, to the story of obligation and tradition. Do not be the person filled with regret when you've arrived at your deathbed. Don't listen to people like me. Don't listen to people in general. Don't be disparaged to do. Don't be afraid to change. Then once you've run out of do-nots, the do's come easily. Do your best with what you have. Do what feels honest and worthwhile, not just for compensation or duty or for appearance. Do what breeds happiness and feels genuine and make a habit out of it. Care for those in your circle. Do away with needless things and boring people that sap you and drain you. Be the change you want to see in the world. Acquire skills like you're a collector of aspirations. Find the things you love and forego the stuff you don't. Do everything possible before you can't do anything at all. Then the do's and don'ts of getting rich become an afterthought and nothing more. That's how you get rich. popularity pageant that is the U.S. presidential elections, an amiable Asian American candidate ascends in notoriety as he promises the people $1,000 a month, ownership over their data, smart and effective governance in the face of impending doom of mass unemployment and the prevalent loss of purpose and meaning as the market favors machines and algorithms more than people. Andrew Yang seems to be the only candidate who's ahead of the curve on a number of issues affecting Americans now, and most notably in the decades to come. What separates Yang from the rest is obvious. Yang's developed a clear and progressive path in U.S. politics, one that strikes a chord in the youth, thoughtful, and the forward-thinking technologists. His counterparts choose their words, policies, and beliefs-based political stratagem, and the DNC combatants seek the power of the presidency and dominion over pushcart legislature and corporate interests. Armed with fewer political resources than his Democratic counterparts, through sheer effort and intelligent internet marketing, Yang's campaign has amassed tens of millions of dollars and a strong, inspired base. His appeal isn't lost on the public, as his visage and message mends public expectation of who can win the DNC candidacy. Currently, the choices are a corporate key fob with early onset dementia, a well-meaning neo-socialist who loves workers and mediocrity, a matriarchal librarian who seems a bit lost in her lies, Karen, and Yang. Well, who do you judge, however the fuck you pronounce it? Of course this dude would strike attention and garner support. He seems to be the only one, apart from Byrne, who isn't playing the game. At least not by the standard rule set. Since not playing the game is now the art of war in today's election cycles, if you were to pit any of these candidates against the brute lord Mango Man, they'd be decimated by a hilarious rhetoric and an unconscionable amount of
terrible. Bullshit. You're fired. Get out of here.
Now, that would be entertaining, but politics should ideally be about the future of this wealthy, newish thing called America and the people that are fortunate enough to find themselves within its borders.
And then in 2015, I read a book by Andy Stern, who, I don't know if you know Andy. He wrote a book called Raising the Floor, and he said the future of labor is no labor, we're screwed, and we need a universal basic income as soon as possible. He actually said someone should run for president on this as soon as possible. And I took that as like a mission statement. So I had lunch with him in 2017, and I said, I agree. Is anyone running for president on this? And he said no, and I was like, then I will run for president on this.
We live in a time where the middle class has narrowed and the wealth gap has widened to the point where we smuggled in tag words like the working poor. 53 million workers, or 44% of all workers, earn an average of $10.22 per hour, about $18,000 a year. It would make sense to instill financial security for many households so that they can reinvest in their communities and innovate by taking more risks with the assurance that their financial futures won't crumble. For the average worker, job security is decreasing at a steady rate, and the rising trends of the gig economy spell a fractured and uncertain labor bazaar, where Gen Zs haggle on wage and individual tasks like boomers at a garage sale. As the labor force transmutes into gig economies, it would make sense to alleviate the burden of those low on the totem pole, or those beginning their journeys into eclectic and niche markets by way of entrepreneurship, which is at a 40-year low. I'll repeat that. Entrepreneurship is at a 40-year low. The freedom dividend could essentially become venture capital to budding entrepreneurs, savvy Zoomers to create businesses and innovate with mobility and not restriction. Since the 1970s, worker productivity has risen over 70%, but the hourly compensation for workers has only risen 9%, adjusting for inflation. This is a measure of disconnect between the wage value of those employed and the value they create for the companies they are employed under. CEOs reign in tech giant bubbles of unreality, while the coffers of upper middle management and executives thicken needlessly. And let's be honest, is answering emails all day and LARPing as money man in the third to top floor conference rooms really demand a high 6 to low 7-figure salary? Purchasing power of the dollar in the average American's hands does not historically reflect the value of their labor and the cost of living expenses. That's a structural defect at the root and the cause for UBI's allure. If the statistic continues to plateau or decreases, why should government need to step in to alleviate the pressure on citizens by essentially subsidizing them with a larger tax pool? Is it worth a substantial increase to the net budgetary cost of over $1 trillion, give or take? Well, one would argue that the U.S. government is willing to bail out failed conglomerate shit shows to appease our corporate warlords to the tune of $500 billion. By telling us the recession would turn into a depression if they didn't do so. Then Yang's adoption of these ideas isn't as outlandish as it seems. Do you really live in a capitalist society if the misappropriation of public funds into private accounts is so widespread that union mafiosos and TARP recipient fuckwits get a jealous boner from? Now, that's a false comparison, of course, but it does illuminate a sentiment among American voters. A distrust of government and its corporate trolls, a questioning of rampant lobbying and money-made policies, and the bloated belly of the welfare system immediately springs to mind. Americans feel they don't see the spoils of the plunders upon their bank accounts, and quite honestly, they don't. Most don't. Does the private sector provide quality services comparable to the public sector at a lower cost? This is debated, but evidence favors the private sector. Typically, when government gets its hands on public goods or private services, it tends to diminish their quality. With the freedom dividend, this wouldn't be the case. Guaranteed income to all would likely funnel back into private sector services and preserve their effectiveness. We've seen Mr. Yang's policies characterized with the word socialist, but those who levy that supposed insult fail to realize that government subsidizes corporations equally, if not more, than it does its people, and that will never fucking change unless we hire an intelligent, tech-conscious dweeb at $400K a year to sit in the White House for 4 rough, aging years to institute real changes to the benefit of the common good and the economic realities of Americans at the level of the individual. And capitalism parading as pure when it's got government as its sugar daddy is not the worst, though it's not even close to ideal. You could pick yourself up by your bootstraps all you want, but if those straps are made in China with materials procured by international quasi-slave empires, and the boot was bought from Amazon and manufactured by Eastern sweatshop conglomerates, and Google is actively monitoring the product, selling your consumer information to the highest bidder, harvesting the location data of the boot and sending it to colonoscopy clinics nearest you because the boot is currently in your ass, then what do you have to lose with $1,000 a month? We already inhabit a quasi-socialist country, disguising itself as a quasi-capitalist one. Republicans elected a game show host out of this fear and the never-ending wish of smaller government, supposedly, which is opposite of what Mango Man did. What if Americans elected a charismatic Taiwanese dude with a platform designed to enable some preventative maintenance on the country and appoint smarties to do his dirty work for him in the interest of the public far and wide? Not a bad start to the 2020s, assuming it's roses and peaches from here on out. The US will see a drastic change in the labor markets, and an untold amount of capital will shift and centralize into the accounts of the few, who own the rights to the tech that put this change into effect. Without the tools to face economic adversity, what would happen to the working poor section of the population? Should government provide bootstrap tools in the form of unconditional cash? Or would the threat of inflation subsequent to the enactment of UBI decategorize it as helpful? Great questions, baby, but where's that delicious data? According to the polls, though the support for UBI grows, the public is either indifferent or opposed to UBI, or any form of it. Think the average yokel's down with wealth redistribution? How about the neoliberal types that occupy the respective glass buildings in developed cities? Do you think polls are an accurate representation of public opinion? Because I sure as fucking don't. If the idea of universal basic income or the lack of political experience deters you from investing your attention toward the idea stage that Yang inhabits, consider that this is the only candidate that speaks on the race for AGI between nations, automation, data ownership, blockchain and crypto, and the new destabilization Americans are currently undergoing, and what that might mean for the average American. I wouldn't advise anyone to place their trust in a political candidate or the US government. One does not have to trust Mr. Yang to understand that the least he can do is fail miserably at implementing his policies, and he'd still be the better president in comparison to his Democrat opponents, especially when it comes to UBI. It could be a fad, it could be necessary in the future, it could be too early to tell, or the impending damage too late for triage. It's possible the uber-rich parade the concept of UBI as an invisible cloak against the pitchfork mob vying for their apparent wealth. It could be too expensive, and that's a valid point. Another valid point, argued by Naval Ravikant, acclaimed Indian guy, is that the claims of the negative impact on the workforce by AI and automation, even the complete elimination of professions, won't be as drastic as Mr. Yang affirms.
I think it's a non-solution to a non-problem. And I mean that in the sense that automation has been happening since the dawn of time. It frees people up for new creative work. So the question is not, is automation going to eliminate jobs? There is no finite number of jobs. We're not like sitting around dividing up the same jobs that were around since the Stone Age. So obviously new jobs are being created, and they're usually better jobs, more creative jobs. So society will always create new jobs. Civilization creates new jobs, but it's impossible to predict what those jobs are. So the question is, how quickly is that transition happening? And what kinds of jobs will be eliminated and what kinds of jobs will be created? It's impossible looking forward to predict what kinds of jobs will be created.
It's possible that the call for UBI is a product of the lump of labor fallacy, thinking that there is a fixed amount of work in the economy and that instituting UBI in response to automation is really just a cash handout when the impending doom could be no more than a categorical shift. The economic ecosystem change after the Industrial Revolution mirrors today, kind of. Sure, it cut out a significant portion of the workforce, eventually domino falling into the Great Depression, but the New Deal was enacted, a policy that was radical for its time. And what was the New Deal but a set of newly adopted economic ideas that had rigor? We don't know what the effects of UBI would be, because it hasn't been implemented on a noteworthy scale. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes kinda. 100 years ago, the stock market crashed, the Volstead Act tyrannized, the Great Depression rifted the economy, and the rallying calls of power and conquest eventually led to World War II. Prior to this, American boomed during and after the Second Industrial Revolution, but workers and company men rarely saw a dime. There was a cultural sinkhole too, growing suicide rates and depression and demographics previously unafflicted, rampant drug use, alcohol and opium, lack of investment into communities and limited innovation among the masses, general divisiveness and riots in the streets, threats of the existential variety. Sound familiar? When automation tears down the workforce, droves of people line up at welfare offices, and the U.S. government of 2020 will fail to accommodate this inevitability, given the massive overhead and inefficiency of social programs now and the spillage of funds to those that abuse it. Perhaps things don't change, and that's the wrong narrative. But that's not a huge gripe, because Yang's policies stand on their own. Yang's platform appeals to both the left and right, tackling socioeconomic problems and income inequality at the root by unconditionally dishing out $1,000 a month, appeases the left's hard-on for expanding the welfare state, while simplifying and segmenting systems of welfare would reduce the number of seats in dank and unseemly government buildings, which appeals to the right, albeit slightly less. Conservatives would appreciate the notion that the government would spend less on UBI than the welfare programs already put into place. Liberals dig the idea because it elevates the individual above the collective malaise of economic stagnation and loss of autonomy. Altogether, the problems we face are nonpartisan, and the solutions should be as well.
You're one of the only people I've ever met who's honest about the effects of deindustrialization. I remember in Washington, the idea was they'll all become computer programmers, and so everything is fine, but that didn't happen.
As we're sitting here together, the labor force participation rate in the United States is 63.2%, the same level as Ecuador and Costa Rica. Certainly the headline unemployment rate is completely misleading, and one of my mandates as president is I'm going to update the numbers so they actually make sense to the American people.
Yes, so we can know what's going on. Otherwise, you can't make wise decisions. I sit with my jaw open. I agree with you so strongly. Appreciate your coming on.
Thank you, Tucker. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
I Pencil, a short story with pendant prose that old-timey libertarians love to refer to, describes all the mechanisms, moving parts, and resources behind the manufacture of a pencil. A no-man-is-an-island approach to goods and commodities. The pencil's antecedents trace back to industry and economic tangibility. Now, what of government? What is the product of government? What are the services? What are the antecedents to our bloated administration? How many jobs in the public and private sectors are needless and soon to be automated? Why shouldn't these menial, sloggy jobs be automated? With a candidate that concerns his policies with automation, one would think an inward approach would unstifle government and rid the bureaucracy of its vestigial busybodies. But the startling point of iPencil is that there is no mastermind, that we all work in collective freedom to dispense our knowledge and skill into crafting the goods and services that power our civilization. That the minds and efforts of mankind cooperate beyond the capability of a single person, to benefit us all and around and around. And to that point, the president is not the mastermind the public make him or her out to be. To the contrary, the president is the representation of the administration's goals, efforts, and style of governance. The president is the movie director, and America is the film. As Quentin Tarantino said,
you see movies and they can be full of vision. How do you get that vision that's in your head? How do you get it on screen? As a director, you don't have to do that. Your job is to hire talented people who can do that. You hire a cinematographer who can get the kind of quality that you want. You don't have to be able to know how to take the lights and move them around to create an effect. Your job is explaining your vision. Your job is articulating to them what you want on the screen.
What would happen to our movie if someone like Andrew Yang is elected? I think that's what his supporters understand and rave about. Aside from their Braveheart presidential idolatry, many are inclined to bandy their loyalties like their favorite sports team. The Yang Gang appreciates the new foray into effective politics, and the man leading the charge has their vote.
And I saw firsthand what many of you already know. Our country is falling apart. Our senior citizens are working until the day they die. Our kids are addicted to smartphones or drugs. We're seeing record high levels of depression, suicides, overdoses. Our companies are recording record profits while our people are literally dying younger. Our way of life is changing faster than ever. And the simple fact is this: Our politicians in DC succeed, whether we the people succeed or fail. Washington, DC today is the richest city in our country. What do they produce? Bad decisions?
I would like to talk to you about an exciting opportunity. I just need 30 minutes of your time to explain it, but it has the potential to transform your life. I'm talking about multi-level marketing companies, or MLMs, companies like Mary Kay.
Not watching that shit. Not watching that shit. Nope. Dentistry stuff really gets me. Sure. What's streaming?
Look, everybody starts their Twitch journey making a couple mistakes. It's not a big deal. We all go through it. All you need is somebody who's made those mistakes before to help push you in the right direction a little bit. Welcome back to the Alpha Gaming channel. My name is Harris Heller. I am your stream doctor, and today we're going to talk about not only 10 things you shouldn't do on Twitch, but 10 things you should do instead. And number 7 is going to blow your mind. Also, BuzzFeed wrote this. I don't even know which one 7 is. Hold on, which one is 7? I've said 7 before. 4 is pretty crazy, though. Maybe let's just start with the first one. But here's the deal. With every single mistake people make on Twitch, they're usually very close to something you should be doing. You're just going about it the wrong way. Slight little adjustments are going to push you in the right direction. So I'm going to talk about both. I was originally going to do a video about the 10 biggest mistakes people make, but I needed it to be a little more positive. You know, there's no reason for me to tell you what not to do if then I don't turn around and tell you things that you should do, right? So let's get started. And the very first thing that you should do is a very important one. You'll understand it a little bit more if you watched my video last week on the loneliness that a lot of streamers can feel on Twitch. You need to make sure that you're reminding yourself before every stream. I'm not talking about like saying a ritual in your head. I just mean convince yourself that you are worthy to stream in front of thousands of people. You are not a small streamer, okay? You are a streamer that just hasn't found your audience yet, and you are capable of great things. And the moment you recognize that is going to be the moment that your viewers recognize that, when you start treating yourself like a professional streamer. Now, the thing that you should absolutely avoid with this is feeling like the world owes you viewers. Because you're going live, Twitch should help you find viewers, or the world should help you find viewers. That's not the world's job. That's not Twitch's job. Twitch is there to build an engaging platform. You are there to build an audience. That is entirely your job. Your viewers don't owe you anything. If they stop showing up, it's because you stopped providing entertainment. They come to Twitch when they want to relax and be entertained and enjoy their time, and if they're not enjoying it, they're not going to show up. So if you do a stream and none of your viewers that normally show up are there, don't get upset with them. Reflect on it. What can you do to change? What can you do to make your next stream more exciting to watch? Okay, let's move on to something a little more straightforward, okay? Do pick a game that will help you grow. Don't pick a game based on how many people are watching it. This is one of the weirdest piece of advice that I've heard big streamers talk about. Pick a game that's not the top game, because no one's going to find you in it. If you're streaming for less than 10 people, no one is going to scroll down and find you no matter what game you're playing. So don't scroll down on the list to a lower game and play a less fun game because you think people are going to find you. You need to get found completely different ways, which is actually the next one, which we'll move to in a second. You should be picking a game that you have fun playing. You should play a game that you're good at. You should play a game that you can choose to engage with your audience. For example, I love Super Smash Brothers. I don't stream Super Smash Brothers because it's such a fast-paced game that I will not have a moment to pay attention to the chat. I do play battle royales because I also like shooters, and there's so much downtime between fights that I can engage with my chat and have fun with them. Pick games that are most entertaining for your viewers to watch, not games that you think are going to get you found. The way you should get found is number 3. Start a YouTube channel. YouTube has a brilliant algorithm, plus it's a very searchable platform. I made a whole video on it, linked down in the description below. It's talking about getting found using other social media platforms. What you shouldn't do is take clips from your stream and re-upload them to YouTube in compilations. And let me explain why, because I know you're gonna say, well, Choco Taco does it, and Shroud does it, and all these big streamers do it. That's because they're big streamers. You need to take a look at your following and figure out why you're uploading to which platform. If you're uploading to YouTube to bring in viewers to watch you on Twitch, you need to be creating original content that gets found on Twitch and then bring those people over. If you're already big on Twitch, like Shroud and Choco Taco and Ninja, you take that content that's already doing really well and you repurpose it on YouTube, and you're remonetizing it again, bringing yourself twice the income. These big streamers aren't making YouTube videos to help them grow on Twitch. They're making YouTube videos to remonetize their Twitch content. You're trying to use YouTube to bring a following over to Twitch, which means you need to be making original content there and then bringing them over to your Twitch streams. Got it? Good. Next one, do use multiple platforms. Set up a YouTube channel, set up an Instagram, set up a Twitter. Make sure you're engaging on all of them and using them to bring over to Twitch. Do not use Restream.io. If you're not familiar with Restream.io, basically you fire up your stream and it broadcasts it to every single platform. So you're streaming live on Mixer and Facebook and Twitch and YouTube all at the same time. This is a bad idea. I know this seems like a great idea because you're reaching more people. How can it be a bad thing? But I'm gonna try to help you understand why this is really hurtful to your image. I want you to remember this. People will always see you the same way that you see yourself. For example, if you're talking to people or popping into Discord and you're saying, hey, please help me hit 100 followers, I'm so close, you come off like a charity case. And people know if they come to watch your stream, they're not doing it because it's gonna be fun to watch, they're doing it because you asked them to. And it's gonna be a chore for them. By the way, this is what's called your brand. The way people feel when they think about a business or an entity, or you in this situation, is their brand. What do you feel when you think about Nike? Probably cool, athletic, right? What do you feel when you think about EA? Most of you are probably thinking sleazy, money grubbing. That's their brand now. They've ruined their brand. The essence of your brand is this. If you imagine one of your viewers explaining your stream to one of their friends, how would they explain it in 1 or 2 sentences? That's your brand. And when you use Restream.io, what you're basically saying is, I'm so desperate for any viewer that I'm willing to ruin the engaging experience on Twitch or whatever platform you choose by splitting my chat room into 5 different chat rooms. So when I'm talking to this one, these people don't know what I'm talking about. When I'm talking to this one, these people don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't think I can grow on one. And I don't know how to use social media to use them all separately. You're no longer an entertainer who's using a platform to entertain. You're now a gamer who's desperate to be watched by anybody who might stumble across it. Build a brand. Okay, that's why I said 4 was a doozy. It's all downhill from here. Pretty simple stuff. Number 5, do remind people to follow and subscribe on Twitch. However, don't beg for it. There are a lot of people that are afraid to bring up subscriptions or following because they feel like it's selling out. They feel like they're begging for it. There's a fine line between reminding people to follow and subscribe and asking people to follow and subscribe. Asking people makes them feel like it's a favor for you. Reminding them makes them feel like there are benefits that they're not taking advantage of. It's a very subtle difference, but it is a big difference. I make sure I do everything I can to make the subscriptions worth it, from creative emotes to rituals that we have in chat where whenever someone subscribes, we use one of my emotes and we try to build a pyramid out of the emotes. It's fun and it's engaging, and whenever I talk about subscriptions, whether it's talking about today's sub goal, talking about what we're gonna do when we hit 1,000 subs, whenever I bring it up in chat, I get another 4 to 5 subscribers. Not because I've asked them to subscribe, but because I reminded them that it's an option. And all 4 of these people would have been willing to subscribe anyway. They just didn't think about it because obviously as the streamer, I think about it more than they do. Remind them. Speaking of which, follow me on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday evening, and Saturday morning. Link in the description down below. Thanks. Number 6, do have a designer make you a solid logo and brand design. However, Don't make it your profile picture. There's plenty of research on the subject of building a brand as an individual. If you are an individual and people are following you and not a company, your face as a profile picture is going to do 100 times better than a logo. So get yourself a decent logo. Use Fiverr or something. You can get one for like 40 bucks. Use it on your stream and in your profile. Then take a picture of you and put it as your profile picture. And give it some personality. Don't, profile pictures like this big. Make sure you're filling out the whole thing. Number 7, make yourself a stream schedule. But most importantly, don't stream every day. Streaming every day is only worthwhile if you have a couple thousand subs. If you're making enough money to do it full time, stream every day. Streaming every day is not gonna get you found. Twitch has got this weird thing where the top 10 people of any game are gonna get clicked on all the time because they're right there in your face whenever you click on the game. Anything below the top 10, nobody clicks on you. So being live and being there isn't gonna get you more people. If you can bring that back to 2 or 3 days a week like I did, and spend those extra 3 to 4 days making YouTube content, putting Instagram videos together, getting yourself out there and noticed, and bringing those people over to Twitch, which you have set days to stream so they know when you're going to be live. That is a much better use of your time. Don't stream every day. Number 8, let's talk about sponsors. This is a personal favorite of people to talk about in my chat. Do create a personal brand and a proper environment that is very marketable for brands and other businesses to sponsor you. This is why Ninja stopped swearing. It's actually a very good business decision. Don't sign yourself over to the first sponsor that wants to put their name on your channel. If you have less than 30 viewers, the sponsor's getting very little out of it. So chances are they're gonna give you little to nothing in return. You are not getting legitimacy, you are not getting exposure, you are being taken advantage of. If you think objectively about what you have to offer a brand at the moment and you honestly can't see it as a good business decision, you're probably being taken advantage of. That doesn't mean every opportunity is a bad opportunity. I'm just saying, don't jump at the opportunity to get a sponsor because it makes you feel legitimate. It doesn't help you, it helps them. I see it all the time with these online stream teams that have you put their sponsors all over your stream and you put their name in the title. Sometimes they have 20 streamers on the team, sometimes they have 100, and these streamers don't even get product out of it. They're literally getting nothing out of it, but they want that sponsor there because it makes them feel wanted. You are being taken advantage of. Just be careful. Don't jump at the first sponsor that runs your way, okay? Number 9, do invest in equipment that makes your stream more entertaining. The bar has been raised for the quality of Twitch streams in 2019. You're gonna need to have a decent setup. However, don't buy gadgets that just make it more fun for you while you're streaming. If ever you're about to make a purchase, you ask yourself, is this gonna make the stream more entertaining for the viewer? If it's gonna be more entertaining for the viewer, your channel's gonna grow, you're gonna start making more money, then you can spend that money that you make monthly now on stuff that you want to game with. Whether that's a new GPU or a new mouse or a new chair or whatever, stuff that's more fun for you, spend your last dollar on that. Spend your first dollar on stuff that makes it more fun for people to watch. Try to turn that dollar into more dollars, and then spend the more dollars on the stuff you want. Does that make sense? And number 10, do become a part of a community. You can find friends and teammates and great people that are gonna be there along the way in somebody else's Discord. Don't spam your content or your Twitch URL in somebody else's community. And for the love of God, do not do follow for follow. And that's everything. These are the 10 biggest pieces of advice I give to streamers every day in my stream. And they're the biggest mistakes that most streamers make. If you can make these fine-tuned adjustments, you are already on your way to growing on Twitch, building an audience, and turning this into your job. All right? And if you found this helpful at all, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. Okay, I've been doing social media content creation full-time for a long time now. I promise you, these are good hints. If you're looking for people to join you on this journey, bounce some ideas off of, we have an incredible community in the Alpha Gaming Discord. The link is down in the description below. There are multiple chat rooms where you can find people with similar interests, find new friends to join you along the way, and even areas where you can ask the community for help. And there are always people there, including my own hand-picked surgeons that are willing to help you out. One more reminder, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday morning on twitch.tv/Harris Heller, link in the description down below. And if you're interested in more quick Twitch tips, I have a video coming up here, link should be on this side of me, about 50 tips to help you grow on Twitch. All right, I hope this helped, and as always, happy streaming.
Oh, they're running down?
Oh, damn! Oh, damn!
Oh, damn! Oh my gosh, you can't miss,
How
dude.
old is his channel? First video was 3 years ago. Okay. Let's see his first video. Challenge.
Let me remember what I was gonna say.
Guys, welcome to the Alpha Gaming channel. Today we're doing something special called Expert Mode, which is where we all play a game, but we add ourselves an extra rule to make it more difficult, and we have to win.
Alright guys, this week on Expert Mode, we are doing the 3 Ninjas Challenge. What is that, you ask? One guy can shoot, the other 3 guys beat down only. If you guys like what you see here, give the video a like, comment who you think the MVP is, and then subscribe to our channel. Don't touch me!
Alright, buds. This is top mid.
You gotta get that pebbled ice, buds.
What are we holding, top mid? This is the ninja map though. I think like everything is beat downs in this map. I think this is the one where we win. Stick with teammates. If you can have 2 people.
I'm gonna get the camo and I'm just gonna go ham.
Okay. I believe in that.
You can just swallow an ice cube, funny. But it's like melting in the wrong
Oh
place.
no, Harris, Randy's slinging at you right now.
Oh, I know.
Randy, I agree with you. It's none of my business. Harris just wasted like 5 minutes of our streaming time. Going for those camo buds.
Oh shoot.
Oh, there are 3 of them over here.
Where?
You're
What's
alone.
over
I'm
here?
leaving you.
Need some help, top mid. Need some help, top mid.
Last guy's on me.
I'm bringing the railgun to Kurt, buds.
Shit, dude, I gotta hit somebody.
No, I just got distracted.
Trying to bring the railgun
There's
to
2 guys
Kurt,
at camo right
buds.
now. 2 guys at camo. Are you shooting, bud?
Oh man, I thought I could hit him in the back.
Trying to find Kurt.
I
I
thought
should have not run out like that.
I'm sitting right behind this pillar and someone's gonna
Kurt!
shoot at me. Shut up,
And we don't
bro.
have Kurt's. Where's Kurt's
Giving
camera?
you the.
I'm here.
Still these 2. Then I think I'm gonna call it. I gotta get ready for work. Interrogate, gain intelligence about. We're in a safe house. Captain. Effective in all options. Higher rank members are more dangerous. Let's converse with that's right. Okay. Oh. Alright. Thanks for coming in. Guess I have 10. Around like 5 or 6. There we go.
I'm a big bacon guy. Big bacon boy. Yeah, a big bacon boy.
Yeah.
That's great bacon.
It's good bacon. It's crispy bacon. I like
crispy bacon. Very crispy.
The BBLT.
This is great.
That's a killer deal, man.
Yeah, great amount of bacon on this thing.
Very kind of them. Then you get into item crafting and learn it's even more complex than a tree. Oh, come on. Please.
Console.
Yeah, active chat to do, definitely. I like it though, because they're here to help. It's nice. Yeah, then crafting the Eldritch complex nightmare that only endgame players truly experience. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch some of these guys, aren't I?
If you're going there, then do us a favor. Spill the old shield crab's guts before it gets nice.
Molten Shell, Ancestral Protection or Protector. To be fair, they added mod type tags to the advanced mod descriptions in game, which is huge for newbies understanding what the fuck is going on. Yeah. Vigilance Strike. I'm not sure yet, Vanguard reviewer. I'm not sure. Welcome. Nah, it's funny to learn crafting by trying. Trust me, it really is. Once you ruin 50 items with bad crafting attempts, then look up a guide and you might have an idea of what they are talking about. What do you mean? That armor isn't a physical mod. It's like mods in the game. Yeah. You might as well ask these guys, Cowsy, because I'm still learning.